JayZ and Oprah are in some pretty hot water right now, and it all has to do with Diddy. Now, they were both good friends with Diddy, but now their connection to him could result in their downfall. Oprah and JayZ have both been spotted at various Diddy parties, award shows, and events with Diddy. Now, Oprah and JayZ actually know each other pretty well too, as Jay has been a guest on Oprah's talk show many times. Now, a source sent Page 6 a VHS tape that was sent out as an invitation to Diddy's 29th birthday in 1998. It begins with a strange home video style skit in which Danny DeVito, lying on a sofa under a blanket, says, "That's right, Puff Daddy is having a party, and this is Puff Daddy inviting you to come. Let's have a ball." Then a group of celebrities take turns reading from a script detailing the date and time, exactly how fabulous and expensive the party will be, and then reading an address to RSVP to. They say that the venue would be revealed later. Now, the group of celebrities includes Oprah, Ellen DeGeneres, Chris Rock, Mariah Carey, Will Smith, and Joan Rivers, to name a few. Now, it's also been said that this whole video is 6 minutes long, but just over a minute of it was posted. Now, what happened in the other 5 minutes of it? No one really knows. People who have seen this, though, claim that celebrities involved in the tape should be looked at as a potential accomplice in Diddy's case, as they appear to be good friends with him and have close ties. All those people in the video appear to be his really good friends, and how interesting is it that Oprah was a part of it? Now, at this point, JayZ was also friends with Diddy, so is he in the other half of the video? It seems like we'll never really know unless the full footage is released. But JayZ has been spotted at numerous events with Diddy, even joining him on stage a time or two. This week, news has just been released that JayZ actually did participate in one of Diddy's crimes. The anonymous accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, said the incident happened after she was driven to an MTV Video Music Awards after party in the year 2000. There at the party, she says she was taken advantage of by the two men, while a third celebrity watched. Now, initially, JayZ's identity was anonymous, but in a refiling of the case on December 8th, his identity was revealed, and now everyone is talking about it. JayZ did put out a statement though, claiming that this accusation was a lie and denied everything. JayZ's attorney, Alex Spiro, filed documents the morning of December 9th, asking the judge to make the plaintiff reveal herself. In the docs, Alex says fair is fair, it is not consistent with justice, fairness, or the rules governing federal proceedings for the plaintiff and her counsel to smear JayZ's good name. Further, the documents state that JayZ's built an impeccable reputation and has never been accused of or engaged in any misconduct. Now, in the documents, JayZ says if the judge won't force the accuser to reveal her identity, he wants the judge to dismiss the case. Now, Diddy's trial is set for May 5th, 2025, but it appears that other celebrities involved in the crimes are trying to keep their names out of the news. Now, Ray J, who was friends with Diddy, has spoken out about how some celebrities are paying off their victims when it comes to freak-offs. Now, my question is, could Oprah be another one of these celebrities? Just maybe. Ray J said, "I'm hearing about artists paying victims to keep their name out of it. Somebody has the truth, somebody pays you to keep it quiet, and hopefully that money that you got paid secures your happiness while you watch the lie continue to succeed." Now, the interviewer, Harvey Levin, then pushed Ray J by asking if he knew anyone personally who had been offered money to stay quiet. The songwriter replied, "Here's the other way around it, Harvey. I'll give you money, please don't talk." He then claimed that high-profile individuals are reaching out to him, alleging they want to talk to me about what happened to them, they call me, they feel like they can trust me. Levin then asked if those contacting Ray J are high-profile celebrities who have an affiliation with Diddy. He responded, "Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, and I don't even know why I said it, but I said it, so what? Now they're gonna be mad, come get me." Ray J then said, "I think I said too much." Now, in the interview, he did not name any celebrities, but this still raised a bunch of eyebrows, and maybe he was talking about JayZ. Now, Tony Busby, the attorney representing more than 120 alleged victims of Diddy, disclosed that he sent out demand letters to the celebrities asking them to pay up or face the consequences. Tony had previously mentioned that investigations into Diddy's case had implicated several Hollywood big shots, but at the time refrained from dropping names. Now, Tony has disclosed that he's now going after other celebrities who attended Diddy's freak-offs, even if they did nothing wrong. In a new appearance on TMZ's documentary, The Downfall of Diddy Inside the Freak-Offs, Tony claims such big names are just as guilty as those who perpetrated the crimes, explaining that their silence and unwillingness to stand against it makes them liable. Now again, could Oprah be one of these celebrities? We know JayZ is. Now Oprah has many controversies of her own, including the time she opened a school. The Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls opened in Johannesburg in 2007, and it was founded with $40 million of Oprah's own money. But less than a year later, 6 of the 152 students who had been personally selected by Oprah to attend the institution came forward to accuse dorm matron Virginia Tiny Macgobo of mistreating them. Now Virginia was arrested in November 2007 and released on bail. She faced 14 different charges. Now it seems like Oprah and the organization did not look into who they were hiring and how the operation was running on a daily basis. Now this is honestly so sad because it could have just been prevented. Now following the first trial, Oprah was then sued by the headmistress of the South African Girls' School for defamation. She alleged that Oprah defamed her by implying she was covering up the mistreatment going on at the school. However, this case was later settled outside of court before the arranged trial. That's not all that happened though, as in 2009 there was another scandal about mistreatment. 7 of their students were suspended for harassing their classmates, and the New York Daily News also reported that the alleged perpetrators also attempted to entice their classmates into lesbian relationships. A South African news outlet also revealed that one of the girls demanded that her victim lie to the police about what happened. Now there's been a lot of bad stuff happening there, and it seems like no one is really doing anything about it and is just letting it happen. Not to mention, parents also came forward with complaints about the school. In March 2007, some parents complained because they were only allowed to visit their children once a month, and the girls were only allowed to use their cell phones on the weekends. One parent said, "It was a nightmare. We had only 2 hours to see my child. Surely this isn't a prison or an institution." Another mother said her homesick daughter was very upset over the rules. "Michelle phones me in tears sometimes, and then I don't know what to say to her," she said. So I think it's safe to say that both Oprah and JayZ have had some not great moments. Now will Oprah eventually be named in a suit against Diddy? Will JayZ be connected to more cases? And what will happen to all the other celebrities involved that have their identities protected? I guess we'll just have to wait and see, as Diddy's trial is set for May 5th, 2025, and with that being 5 months away, there is still so much that can be revealed. But man, I sure do hope that these victims get the justice that they so deserve.
So, the Washington Examiner on Friday, November 8th, 2024 breaks a story about how Oprah Winfrey's production company is paid $1 million by Kamala Harris's campaign. $1 million, big money. This was a quote from political commentator Ben O'Reilly on his No Spin News show. Try saying that 5 times fast. And he said, and I quote, "And you remember Oprah did a bunch of displays. Let's call them for Miss Harris." We confirm that number is true, but Oprah denied it. Oprah was reportedly confronted by TMZ and said that the reporting was not true, stating that she was paid nothing. O'Reilly noted that the $1 million in campaign funds was reported to have gone to Oprah Winfrey's Harpo Productions on October 15th in West Hollywood, California. And that's the way it goes, he said. "So, I got 3 corporations, and a lot of the money that goes into the corporations eventually someday will come to me, but I don't get paid directly, it just comes in." So Oprah was doing a little 2-step here, and she finally had to admit it. Oprah reportedly explained that the funds were used to pay those who worked on the productions, stating, "Okay, I did not take any personal fee. However, the people who worked on that production needed to be paid, and they were. End of story." And like O'Reilly said, it would have been the end of the story if you had told the truth up front. Why did she have to dance around? She could have just said, "Well, yes, we took the money so we could pay our employees," which is a great thing. So long before Oprah was this billionaire media mogul that we all know today, who is romantically linked to Stedman Graham, young Oprah Winfrey reportedly had a different boyfriend, John Tesh. So in her unauthorized Oprah Winfrey tell-all, celebrity biographer Kitty Kelly claims that Oprah and the one-time Entertainment Tonight co-host were lovers who shared an apartment in Nashville, Tennessee back in the mid-1970s. According to an excerpt from the book, Tesh abandoned Oprah because of the intense social pressure of their interracial romance. He couldn't take it anymore. He walked out in the middle of the night and he felt very guilty about it. Now, Tesh did confirm to Entertainment Tonight that he and Oprah were reporters in Nashville together about 40 years ago, and they did date for a short time. And he mentioned how they're still friends to this day, But it's just like, okay, so what does Stedman have to say about it? Because Oprah technically stepped out of that relationship, despite being a longtime ambassador for Weight Watchers. Now, the famous talk show host did confirm in the last year that she's now using an unknown substance to help control her weight. In a revealing chat, Oprah was like, yes, my new slim figure is thanks to that and a healthier lifestyle overall. She said, I now use it as I feel it, as a tool to manage not yo-yoing. The fact that there's a medically approved prescription for managing weight and staying healthier in my lifetime feels like, her words, redemption. Feels like a relief, like a gift, not something to hide behind and once again be ridiculed for. Oprah did also say that she's absolutely done with the shaming from other people and particularly herself. Here's the thing though, a lot of fans felt like she was being hypocritical, given that she was a proud spokesperson for Weight Watchers for many years. She was on their board. Somebody wrote on social media, what I don't like about Oprah is she is clearly off doing Ozempic, yet she's still pushing Weight Watchers. Done with the shaming but okay with lying? Others called out the star for letting folks believe she did it the old-fashioned way, asking why she lied. Because folks, for a hot minute, if you didn't know last year, Oprah was very openly against Ozempic and similar products while she was still on the Weight Watchers board. But it's only since she left and she said she's going to donate so much money or whatever, Oprah's move away from Weight Watchers isn't just a professional transition, it also kind of marks a broader cultural shift. As GLP-1 substances like Ozempic explode in popularity, the idea of relying on willpower to lose weight is kind of going out of fashion, as well as society's short-lived flirtation with body positivity. Thin is dangerously in again, and we've got to be careful. Back in 2012, Oprah gushed for weeks about Microsoft's Surface tablet, which she compared to a Mercedes and named one of her favorite things of 2012. So one day she went a step further. She sent out a little tweet. She had like 14.8 million followers and she said, I love that Surface. Apparently she already bought 12 of them for Christmas, but there's one little teensy-weensy problem. So this is back when Twitter was, a little more old school. You would see where you tweeted from. Well, Oprah, or whoever managed her Twitter account at the time, sent the tweet from an iPad. Now, obviously, everybody online saw that because it was very much like sent from iPad, and they had things to say. To quote one expert, she does have legions of fans, making her an effective marketing channel for Microsoft, except for when the narrative around her promotion is tossed on its head by a foolish and utterly avoidable mistake. As you have it, folks, Surface ads, now brought to you by iPad. Doesn't look really good. The legend of Oprah Winfrey as somebody who was very poor, growing up without a father, having a mother that was too young, Oprah was carried with shame during pregnancy and then was neglected. All of this began to spread when Oprah was giving interviews in Chicago. She said, oh, how they harmed me. I wanted to be white because I never saw white people being hurt. She said her earlier years of life were lonely. She didn't play with anybody except for the pig she rode without a saddle in her grandma's garden. She said the only people she could talk to were the animals in the farmyard. Apparently she read them Bible stories, so they had a Bible. Apparently, living with her mom when her mom was on welfare, even worse. She said they were so poor they couldn't afford any pets. She listed off, no dogs, no cats. She had cockroaches though. Very specifically, she put them in a jar and named them Melinda and Sandy. I feel like there's some relevance there. I forget what. Let me know in the comments if you know. She went on to entertain her audiences with stories about fetching water from the well, milking cows, emptying the drinking pots. That was her life. She told stories about her grandmother who swung a switch, her grandfather with a stick. These were the people who raised her before her mother, by the way. She said, oh yes, once again, she wanted to be white. She never saw white people being on the other end of a stick or a switch. She said it's part of Southern tradition. That's how old folks raise their family. You spill something, you meet the switch. You tell a story, you meet the switch. And I mean by story, I mean fib, folks. She said that it could happen all day, all night, and nobody could ever get tired about it. Now here's the thing, not everybody in Oprah's family agrees with this narrative. Her mother, Vernita, when asked about her daughter's tales, said Oprah's a bit of a cold smoker. And if you don't know what that means, Oprah's a bit of a liar. Oprah's sister later dispelled the myth of immense poverty. Patricia said, of course we weren't rich, but Oprah exaggerated how bad it was. She thinks it's because the viewers would love her, the audience would grow. It's controversial, it's newsworthy, it's clickworthy. Cockroaches were never her pet. Apparently she always had a dog. She had a cat. She had an eel in a tank. She had a parakeet, which so cute. Those ones can speak? Yeah, so she named it Bo Peep. Adorable. Where Oprah got that nonsense about growing up in filth and roaches, her cousin has no idea. Now, her cousin said she's confronted Oprah and asked, why do you tell such lies? And Oprah said, well, that's what people want to hear. The truth is boring. Well, I don't know, girl. I would like to know the truth. Maybe. Possibly. So on air, Oprah is portrayed as giving, let's just say. I'm not gonna call her sweet because we've all heard her interviews, but she's giving. Well, according to her stepmom, apparently Oprah is not very giving. According to Barbara, Oprah is one of the most controlling people you will ever meet. So let's say Barbara's in town and she wants to go visit Oprah and maybe like stay with her, hang out, be familial. Oprah said, no, you can stay in a hotel, pay for your own hotel room. Apparently Oprah's quick to anger when it comes to her staff. Folks get fired very easily. But here's the thing. So once again, remember, Oprah's a billionaire, right? So when Oprah decides she wants to go visit like her mother-in-law, she can do it. She can stay with Barbara, but then Oprah's gonna complain. And it's like, really? You're going to complain about generosity? But apparently, oh no, the bed sheets aren't 1,000 thread, the bath towels aren't big enough. Like, I don't know, if you hate it that much, go stay in a hotel. I'm sure you can rent out an entire hotel. Oprah Winfrey paid a fortune to Apple TV to buy back the rights to a documentary about her life. So I think it was in 2021, Apple announced that Oscar-winning filmmaker Kevin McDonald would be directing a documentary about Oprah. Which, hey, everybody's like, yeah. But here's the thing. Sources are saying that McDonald, who teamed up with Oprah's longtime producer Lisa on the project, clashed with Oprah after he finished the film, and it's been on ice ever since. According to sources, Kevin made the film, Oprah didn't like it, he refused to change it, and Oprah has paid back her fee to Apple. So while industry sources speculate that Oprah would have to pay quite a bit of do-re-mi to get the rights to the documentary back, apparently it wasn't too much. It was an affordable amount. Well, affordable for a billionaire. And technically, Oprah's documentary isn't the first high-profile one to be put on ice. Like, the Prince documentary is being held hostage, thanks to objections from his estate, which they'll know what to say no to. Over the years, a number of interviews have really shown us the cracks in Oprah's carefully curated facade. And it's thanks to folks like Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, Howard Stern, Cindy Crawford, and so many more that we can really glimpse into the darkness behind the mogul. So Oprah came under fire back in 2021 for a 2004 interview on her show, The Oprah Winfrey Show, where she asked Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, who were the height of teeny bopper fashion, what clothing size they were. Now, at the time of the interview, rumors had been circulating that Mary-Kate was suffering from an eating disorder. And later that year, the actress turned fashion designer did spend time in a rehab facility to receive treatment for a health-related issue. So Oprah said, I know a new rumor that's recently surfaced that has you really upset, right? You know, the one about eating. And now Ashley quickly jumped in to protect her sister, saying, yeah, you know, people are gonna write what they're gonna write. We try not to read the good or the bad because it just comes with the territory. Either you're too fat, too skinny, and people are just gonna write what they're... And she was cut off by Oprah because Oprah wanted her little soundbite. Oprah was like, well, what size are you, by the way? Now, you could very much see Mary-Kate and Ashley feel very uncomfortable, and Ashley tried deflecting, being like, size? Like, oh, we're both like petite. And then Oprah is not having it and being like, oh, that's so interesting. Saying it like it's an inside joke with her in the audience. She's like, I'm obsessed with size. And you're like, I don't know. And thankfully at this point, like, poor Mary-Kate piped up and was like, but you know, like, I really don't know. Like, if we were obsessed with our size, it'd be like a different story. Honestly, watching that entire video just left me feeling so icky, because it's like, who cares what size they are? Let them be. You get a car, and you get criticized for a lavish lifestyle. Controversial radio host Howard Stern accused Oprah Winfrey of showing off her wealth on social media. So he said, Oprah's not embarrassed by her wealth at all. I think this was like a recent radio show excerpt, and he added, she loves showing it off. It's effing mind-blowing. When you follow her on Instagram, you see her estates, her gardens, the people who service her, and you know, and his co-host interjected, service her? She's not a car. And then Stern's like, well, she kind of is. She's got servants and like people cooking, and it's effing wild. Look, folks, according to my sources, Oprah's got a net worth of $2.5 billion, which is a combination of her talk show success, her TV shows, and her brand ambassadorship stuff. So like, she's made herself. Stern continued saying the famed talk show host knows how to be rich and likes to show it off, which is something I'm not comfortable with. He's like, I don't think that people should show off their wealth. Now, his co-host once again interjected and disagreed, arguing that she's just giving fans a peek inside her life using social media, which is what public figures do. He literally said, Oprah's just showing you her life. She's not showing off. And then Howard Stern fired back, saying that Oprah's lacking self-awareness. Well, you gotta be a little self-aware and know that there are people struggling out there. You gotta think about people who don't have anything to eat. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, you gotta be a little aware of this. Like, folks, why do we follow anybody on social media? Because we like them, we aspire to be them. You should be considerate, yes, of others, but like, you can flaunt your life. So, speaking of out of touch, Oprah Winfrey's normal normal people skills were called into question back in 2006 following a cooking segment on The Oprah Winfrey Show. So she had invited Anna Ginsburg onto the set after Anna scooped a colossal $1 million for winning a national culinary contest. Unfortunately, the dish that helped her earn the prize didn't seem to appeal to Oprah's taste. So Ginsburg was like, "Oh, do you like it?" Like, "I hope so." This was a chicken and spinach stuffing meal that she'd created. And although Oprah insisted that she did like it, her face told a very different story. And then the situation got even more awkward when Oprah was like, "Did we get salt and pepper? I think we needed salt and pepper." So after the offending clip went viral a couple years later, Oprah decided to issue a defense of her MasterChef smackdown on Oprah Daily, saying, "Here's the deal. This is what I was thinking. I always wanted anybody who came onto the show, no matter what they did, to have a good experience. And I also wanted to stay in my own truth while also allowing them to have a good experience. Because the truth for me was that I'm used to having salt and pepper on my chicken. That's just the truth. I don't know about you, but I don't think I'd be making a boo-boo face on live television if I just didn't like something that minuscule." When Oprah interviewed Cindy Crawford and Elite Model Management founder John Casablancas back in 1986, she had the model stand up so the audience could see her body. Now, reflecting on the encounter about like 37 years later, Cindy Crawford was like, "I was just something to be seen and not heard." And when you look at it through today's eyes, Oprah's like, "Stand up and show me your body. Show us why you're worthy of being here." Now, in the moment, Cindy Crawford didn't recognize it, and watching it back, she was like, "Oh my gosh. That was so not okay, really, especially from Oprah." You don't know why? Don't worry, folks, we'll get into it in a minute. So when Robin Williams and Nathan Lane did a joint interview to promote The Birdcage back in 1996, Oprah brought up potential rumors about Nathan's sexuality since he played an openly queer character in the film, and at the time he wasn't ready to discuss his sexuality publicly, so Robin quickly changed the topic by making a joke. Well, fast forward to 2023, and Nathan has mentioned that he doesn't think Oprah was trying to out him, but he did say to Robin beforehand that he wasn't prepared, he was very scared of going out there and talking to Oprah, he was not prepared to discuss being gay on national television, he wasn't ready, and then Robin was like, "Oh, it's alright, don't worry about it, we don't have to talk about it, we won't talk about it." Well, obviously Oprah was like, let's do it. So apparently, according to Nathan, Robin swooped in, diverted Oprah, and went off on a tangent and protected him because he was a saint, and just went on and on to praise Robin, who I've never heard a bad thing about. Back in March of 2010, Monique won the Best Supporting Actress Academy Award for her performance in Precious. And then after that, everybody's like, okay, what did she do? Well, apparently she claimed she was blackballed in the entertainment industry at the hands of a lot of powerful people, one of them being Oprah Winfrey. So Oprah decided, so Monique won this Academy Award, right? And just a couple days later, Oprah decided to have Monique's family on the show, which sounds really great, right? Sounds cute, like, oh, supportive family. Not so much. Monique was not talking to her family at the time, especially not her older brother, who apparently harmed Monique when they were growing up. Now, this was the first time her brother had admitted his crimes and confessed to being a victim of the same actions by other family members, but that doesn't make it okay. Like, folks online were like, yo, Oprah needs to answer for this because it doesn't make sense and it looks bad for Oprah. Somebody else was like, Oprah definitely seems like she has a mean, cold side. Like, I just wonder why she was so mean in this situation. Monique herself said Oprah crossed her on many different levels by doing this. And like, she tried to reach out to have a private conversation, but her efforts to communicate with Oprah didn't happen. Well, fast forward, I think about 3 years, Monique and Oprah are at a celebration party for Lupita Nyong'o in honor of her Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. So Monique said, and I quote, "Oprah Winfrey was sitting on my right, and then I turned to her and said, 'Now I need to talk to you.' And apparently it got real quiet. Could hear a pin drop. Monique said, 'Since you didn't want to return my calls for whatever reason, I'm going to say this right here.' She asked Oprah, like, why did you invite my family on the show, knowing that our relationship was pretty severed at the time? But Oprah, in true Oprah fashion, was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea the entire family was gonna show up. And she said, like, oh, I didn't know anything about that. If I did anything to offend you, I apologize. Sure, we're gonna pretend this wasn't a calculated move by the queen of daytime TV. Back in 2007, Oprah had actress Jenny McCarthy on her show to promote some stupid book she wrote about her son's autism. Now, I never went to med school, but I do have Google, and according to CDC statistics, more than 3.5 million Americans have an autism spectrum disorder for which scientists have yet to identify a definite cause. But Jenny McCarthy announced very matter-of-factly that her son's autism was caused by vaccinations, specifically the MMR vaccine. Now, this had nearly eradicated measles, mumps, and rubella in the States at the time. And if you didn't already know that, it's probably because society at the time didn't have to worry about those diseases for decades. If you don't know, measles did not mess around in its glory days. It took the lives of thousands of people a year. The number of total cases had dropped to less than 200 annually until these two folks decided to discredit science. After that, there was a gradual spike in cases. Back in 2014, there was a record 23 outbreaks and over 600 cases. I don't know, maybe it was a coincidence. You take the information and make your own decision.
Some new evidence connecting Oprah to the ongoing Diddy investigation has just been released and the internet is buzzing. There have been many lawsuits filed against Diddy over the past past year, one of which was done by Adria English. In her suit, she claimed that she worked for Combs at the parties he threw in the mid to late 2000s. The parties in question would have been located in the Hamptons and Miami. She claimed that the drinks she was given on the job had other things in them that she didn't want. In addition to allegedly being forced to consume things, English claims she was also forced to engage in inappropriate acts she didn't want to do. In a shocking turn of events, Adria English and her legal team have parted ways. The cited reason is irreconcilable differences. The filing reads, as a result of fundamental disagreement between attorneys and plaintiff regarding almost every aspect of the litigation, including settlement demands, causes of action in the pleadings, and plaintiff's undermining behavior and questionable antics, an irreconcilable conflict and tension has developed between plaintiff and attorneys. One of the lawyers claimed that they never lost faith in her case, just in her, and that her case was great. The issue at hand was that English allegedly undermined their work and went behind their backs, doing things incongruent to advancing her case, to which English has allegedly responded with, I'm the client, you work for me. Another major point of contention between English and her representation was that they requested that English refrain from speaking to media. Sure enough, pretty soon after parting ways, English spoke to independent media, and the interview made its way around TikTok gossip pages. In the interview, English claimed that there were tunnels under Oprah's home. She sees what's going on because she's a participant. There appears to be a shortcut in the video, so it's unclear if her next statement came right after this line or if the video was edited around, but the next words that Adria English speaks in the video are, I ain't gonna say allegedly, sue me. As of right now, the information English talked about in this interview is still unconfirmed. No credible news site has confirmed that tunnels exist under Oprah's properties or that the talk show host was involved with Diddy's parties past being on the guest list. In a related vein, there was an image circulating around the internet that looked like a screenshot from a CNN broadcast with the headline, Underground Tunnels Found at Diddy's LA Home. This has been fact-checked by multiple credible news sources. The image is fabricated. Though Diddy and Oprah might not have been working together when it comes to Diddy's reason for currently being held in jail, that doesn't mean they've never interacted. He was once on top of the world, a world-renowned star, exactly the type of person Oprah would interview for her famous talk show. One particular interview from 2006 recently resurfaced, and after all the allegations against Diddy came out, the vibe has severely shifted from what it once was. Once innocent remarks now sound evil. In this particular interview, what used to be a fun exchange between the rapper and talk show host now has people doing a double take and looking below the surface. Oprah asked Diddy about the meaning behind his stage name, his real name being Sean Combs. Plus, his stage name has undergone many changes over the years. The rapper was reluctant to share the story behind Diddy, saying, it's a nickname somebody gave me. I've never told anyone that. I know you get people to tell you everything, Oprah. And that exchange doesn't seem so bad, but it's the next line that is making people uncomfortable. His conclusion was, but I can't look you in the eye and explain that one. That definitely doesn't sound great. It sounds pretty suspicious, and people are side-eyeing the moment. At the time, many people assumed that the nickname came from childhood hijinks or maybe an embarrassing story, but after everything that has surfaced about the disgraced rapper's activities behind closed doors, people's minds wander to a much darker place now. Diddy claimed in that 2006 interview that he would answer every other question but that one, further making people wonder just what could have been so bad or strange the man wouldn't share it with the world. That was the question then, at least. Today we might not have to wonder so hard about the answer. One of the biggest events of the entire Diddy situation was when his house was raided on March 25th of this year. It was discovered that the rapper owned over, allegedly, 1,000 bottles of what is rumored to have been baby oil, but is reported by BBC to just be lubricant. When news about the baby oil in particular broke, the idea was so out there that people couldn't help but want answers. Why would anyone, for any reason, need so much baby oil, and how would one even get it? Well, Combs' lawyer brought a famous bulk buying store into the conversation, Costco. They claim that people always buy large amounts of one item there all the time. Plus, Diddy had a big house and the number must have been blown way out of proportion anyways. Well, Costco is quick to detach themselves from the situation and came out with a statement that no store in the US even carries baby oil. Diddy's 2006 interview with Oprah also revealed another detail that would later be relevant. They talked about his famous white party, the party in which everyone wears white. The first was hosted on Labor Day, which is how the tradition started. Diddy wouldn't explain the meaning behind his stage name, but he was willing to explain the reasoning behind the party's theme. His parties were attended by celebrities at all different fame levels. He said that by putting everyone in one color, it was like putting them all on the same level too. Considering the party was attended by everyone from Paris Hilton to the Kardashians to Leonardo DiCaprio, it makes sense why he would want to get everyone on the same page. Diddy and Oprah have been captured partying together in the past at many other events, after parties, and just other gatherings gatherings in general, but Diddy isn't the first time Oprah has found her name tied to some questionable characters. She was famously close to the man who also had a very public falling out with Hollywood after his past transgressions came to light. He also shares a name with a popular burger chain, Harvey's, if that helps. Oprah was seemingly publicly called out by Seal for her relationship to this person. The man posted a picture to his Instagram, the top image showing Oprah kissing the person on the cheek with the text, "When you have been part of the problem for decades," and the bottom image showing the person engaging in conversation with Oprah and another woman, this one with the text, "But suddenly they all think you are the solution." Seal added his own caption to this photo, calling out an individual for hearing the rumors but not doing anything about it, and implying that the person was pretending that they didn't know what was happening. While Seal didn't explicitly name names, there were faces in those pictures, particularly famously Oprah's. So everyone assumed he was taking a dig at the talk show host. Seal insisted this wasn't the case, it just happened to be Oprah that was the one pictured with the man. It was more about the man in the picture than the talk show host. And the text was to be taken as a generalization of the entertainment industry rather than a direct attack. But Oprah also has her own related and themed scandals attached to her name, like that of the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls, the school she opened in South Africa. It was originally designed and created to be a place to uplift girls in the community, but the good deed was quickly tarnished by a scandal. The matron was arrested and faced 14 charges. In addition to those of inappropriate physical contact, the matron was also accused of physically conflicting with a dorm parent and injuring 3 while operating a golf cart. Adding more to the scandal, Oprah was later sued by the school's headmistress for defamation, asking for over $250,000. This was a direct result of the situation with the dorm matron. While that horrible legal battle was happening, Winfrey had publicly commented that she was doing a complete overhaul of the school and its faculty and that she had lost confidence in the headmistress. The headmistress claims that these statements made it harder for her to find work. Court papers from the case read that Winfrey had originally intended to hire nurses to be the dorm matrons. However, the headmistress went a different route and, per an article from CBS News, hired 8 young women from a local company called Party Design. Winfrey's lawyers at the time wrote about this decision, saying these young women were later found to be totally unqualified to handle the position, something the headmistress had been warned about. The 2 women were expected to settle this in court, but instead came to an agreement privately shortly before the date.
Puffy is currently facing some serious allegations that have tarnished the reputation that he built in the music industry. He once had this close-knit circle of celebrity friends, and now they're kind of distancing themselves in the wake of these serious allegations. Now, has anybody else seen the leaked VHS tape? It was probably, I believe, an invitation to Puffy's 29th birthday party back in 1998, when I was like, And it's raised some eyebrows. Known for his love of partying, Puff Daddy has never shied away from going out and about while hosting such events, although, some, if not all, of his current legal troubles kind of stem from those gatherings. But the VHS tape, it's a 6-minute long video that serves as a time capsule from the peak of the bad boy era, and as kind of a reminder of how far Puff Daddy has slipped from society amid everything going on. And yes, Oprah's in it. That's why we're talking about it today. So this tape was delivered to the hands of the most powerful and glamorous players in Los Angeles and New York in a black velvet pouch with the birthday gala, November 4th, 1998, written on it in white script. And like I said before, it's got Oprah, it's got Ellen DeGeneres, it's got Chris Rock, it's got Mariah Carey, it's got the next president, it's got Magic Johnson, Will Smith, Ben Stiller, Joan Rivers, Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, Tommy Hilfiger, Ronald Perlman, Penny Marshall, Stephen Baldwin, and so many others, taking turns to hype up the bash, encouraging the recipients to RSVP and goof off for the camera. So it begins with a strange home video style skit where Danny DeVito is lying on a sofa under a blanket, saying, "That's right, Puff Daddy's having a party and this is Puff Daddy inviting you to come. Let's have a ball." Danny DeVito, you okay? Let me know. Then the absolute cavalcade of A-listers take turns reading from a script. And yeah, it's a script, detailing the date and time, exactly how fabulous and expensive the affair is going to be, and then the address to RSVP to. And the venue, which by the way, it was the Cipriani Wall Street, would be revealed later. But now that it's been 20-something years, we know where it was. One person refers to the I'll Be Missing You rapper as the legendary Puff Daddy, and then we've got Rock and DeGeneres teasing him for his many names, because, you know, he's got them as long as my arm. And a lot of folks make fun of their own unease with hip-hop slang. One source who attended the bash said that they'd forgotten how much was made of the party in the press, and they really think that bigger celebs and moguls were fascinated by the chutzpah of this 29-year-old. Look, at the time, the bash cost like $600,000, and 1,600 people were on the list for the invites, which is bonkers for a party? Eee! As well as those in the video, Henry Winkler, Aaron Lauder, Mike Tyson, Minnie Driver, Mark Wahlberg, Lenny Kravitz, Kevin Costner, Sarah Ferguson, Martha Stewart, JayZ, and Naomi Campbell were also on the scene. Folks have compared this to Truman Capote's black and white ball at the Plaza, and even though that party was like for la crème de la crème of society, Puff Daddy was celebrating the kind of high-profile commercial success and notoriety that knows no racial class or bounds. So folks are comparing it like old money versus new money. The Capote ball, old money. Puff Daddy ball, new money. So during an intimate discussion with Oprah, peeling away the layers of his complex life, Puffy kind of made folks curious by avoiding details about the origin of the Puff Daddy moniker. The conversation, which was for Oprah's O magazine, it was casual at beginning. Like Oprah was like, how'd you get the name? And he said, it's a nickname somebody gave me. And then Oprah, being Oprah, was like, okay, well, I would to know more. And then he was like, no. He's like, I've never told anyone that. And I know you get people to tell you everything, Oprah, but I can't look you in the eye and explain that one. He said, no more Puff Daddy. First week in June, we're gonna have a name change ceremony. Now, he confessed that part to MTV back in 2001, and that's when he said, I'm rocking with the whole P, that name now. And that's when he said, Biggie gave him that name, which was after crimes committed by Puffy that I can't talk about on here without sounding like a cartoon character, but I'm sure you can find them. And I find it highly suspicious that Biggie gave him that name. If we're gonna go back to Oprah for a moment, her name? That's been interlaced with a lot of criminals. We're talking Harvey W., Puff Daddy, Jeffrey E. I can't say their last names. Harvey was a close friend of Oprah's for many years, and he used that friendship to gain the trust of his victims. Actress Katie Noble claimed that Harvey used Oprah into going back with him to his hotel room. However, once Harvey's crimes became public knowledge, Oprah distanced herself from the situation without directly addressing her relationship with him. Oprah said, if we make this just about Harvey, then we have lost this moment. That statement was an attempt to shift the focus from Harvey's crimes and victim stories to a bigger picture, because Oprah was desperate to paint herself as a hero. But not everybody was convinced. Oprah's former friend Seal took to Instagram to call her out for suspicious behavior, saying, you have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you're the solution. I forgot, that's right. You'd heard the rumors, but you had no idea he was actually serial harming young starry-eyed actresses. And that post was accompanied with a photo of Oprah kissing Harvey on the cheek. Now, Harvey is one of only many awful men tied to Oprah's brand. She's attended those big parties, and I'm forgetting something. She's featured 5 times in the files from Jeffrey's trial. I can't talk more about the trial for reasons, but come on. Another issue that follows Oprah wherever she goes is the controversy of her school in South Africa, the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls. It was built as a safe haven for disadvantaged girls, but it has proven to be kind of anything but that. Multiple students accused a dormitory matron, Virginia Makopo, of harm, and she was arrested in November of 2007 and then released on bail. News outlets claim that she faced 14 charges involving indecent acts with students. So after that trial, Oprah was sued by the headmistress of the school, Lerato Nyomfo Mzame, for defamation, which is kind of bad for you to be sued by your own headmistress. Mzame alleged that Oprah defamed her by implying that the headmaster was covering up the awfulness going on at the school. Granted, that case was settled out of court before the arranged trial, at least according to news outlets. But, sorry folks, the controversy does not end there. Speculation about numerous missing girls from the academy has spread like wildfire across social media. But the validity of these statements has not been confirmed or denied. Oprah and her team have been silent on the matter, and it seems like any articles raising concern over the situation are scrubbed from the internet. When was the last time you heard about Oprah's school after she had that big grand opening? A fair share of scandals have been attached to Oprah over the years, yet media coverage criticizing her for all these instances somehow always disappears. And Oprah's name is constantly tied to a bazillion crimes, whether it's due to her relationships or the instances with the school. But the only sources talking about this are concerned consumers on social media and small newspapers. Not a lot of major outlets have discussed Oprah's suspicious behavior. Instead, they continue to praise her. And yet, she doesn't deny anything. Selective media coverage plays a large role in maintaining her image. Power is used as a scare tactic to prevent reporters from bringing these topics to light. And look, Oprah's not innocent. Thanks to her weakness for theories that veer towards the decidedly out there, her legacy is tarnished, at least in my eyes. Okay, sure, we'll give her a point today. She did endorse a lot of credible things. Barack Obama, John Steinbeck's East of Eden, became a bestseller after she featured it. I think it was 51 years after it was originally published. But then on the other hand, let's talk about some bad things, okay? So we have her to blame for Jenny McCarthy spewing her opinions. You know, the opinion that vaccinations cause autism. She said that on the Oprah Winfrey Show back in 2007 and has been repeatedly cited as a factor in the return of many diseases such as whooping cough, and in the US. Mostly in the US. Let's talk about Dr. Oz, the Turkish-American heart surgeon who first appeared on Oprah back in 2004 and quickly became part of Oprah's team of experts. Well, he dispenses with facts he doesn't find convenient. He manifests an egregious lack of integrity. Why? Well, he promotes quack treatments and cures in the interest of personal financial gain. He's more like an influencer than an actual doctor these days. And that's coming from a lot of colleagues who are like, yeah, no, his endorsements are immoral.
Starting off today, we are talking about her rise to fame and some of the early controversies. Imagine being just 17 years old and stepping into the fast-paced world of media. That was Oprah Winfrey. Hailing from humble beginnings, she landed a part-time gig at a local radio station while still in high school. Her charisma and talent didn't go unnoticed. Soon enough, she broke barriers by becoming the first black female news anchor at WLAC-TV in Nashville. Can you believe that she left Tennessee State University just one credit shy of graduation to seize this golden opportunity? Talk about taking a leap of faith. But her journey wasn't all smooth sailing. When she moved to WJZ TV in Baltimore, things took an unexpected turn. Instead of co-anchoring the coveted 6 p.m. news slot, she was reassigned to host a low-profile local talk show called People Are Talking. It felt like a setback. Imagine being sidelined when you're aiming for the stars. But here's where Oprah's story gets really interesting. Instead of letting this derail her ambitions, she embraced the challenge. She poured her heart into the talk show format, connecting with audiences on a deeper level with her warmth and authenticity. This so-called demotion turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Hosting People Are Talking ignited a passion that she didn't know she had. She discovered she had a knack for engaging with people, drawing out their stories, and touching hearts. This newfound love for talk shows set the stage for her next big move. It wasn't long before she took Chicago by storm with AM Chicago, transforming it from a struggling program into a top-rated sensation. And the rest, as they say, is history. That initial bump in the road led Oprah to create The Oprah Winfrey Show, a groundbreaking program that would become the highest-rated talk show in television history. In 1985, Oprah made her acting debut in The Color Purple, earning an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress. Despite the film's success, it faced criticism for its portrayal of black men, leading to debates within the black community. Oprah found herself amidst this controversy, navigating the complexities of her dual role as both a media mogul and an actor. Oprah's entrepreneurial flair didn't stop at dominating daytime TV. She took a leap and launched Harpo Productions, flipping her name backward for a bit of fun and branding genius. This move was all about owning her content and building an empire on her own terms. But the real roller coaster started when she unveiled the Oprah Winfrey Network, better known as OWN, in 2011. You'd think slapping Oprah's name on a network would be a surefire recipe for success, right? Well, surprise. OWN stumbled out of the gate with dismal ratings. Critics were buzzing, advertisers were hesitant, and there were whispers that even Oprah couldn't save this sinking ship. The network faced hefty financial losses, leading to significant layoffs and a desperate need for a content overhaul. Behind the scenes, things were even messier. Harpo Productions found itself entangled in legal battles over intellectual property rights. One particularly juicy scandal involved a lawsuit filed by a motivational speaker who claimed that Oprah had infringed on her trademarked phrase, "Own your power." The allegation was that Oprah used this exact phrase across her magazine, TV shows, and events without permission. The lawsuit stirred quite the media frenzy before it was eventually settled quietly out of court. These challenges forced Oprah to make some tough calls. She brought in heavyweight partners like Tyler Perry, whose shows injected much-needed life into OWN's lineup. So, while the world saw the polished surface of Oprah's media domination, few were aware of the backstage drama, the lawsuits, the financial gambles, and the nail-biting moments when everything hung in the balance. Oprah is an iconic figure who has spent decades sharing her personal battles with weight and advocating for self-love and healthy living, and she recently ignited a firestorm of controversy. Remember when she famously pulled out a wagon loaded with 67 pounds of animal fat on her show to represent her weight loss? For years, she was the poster child for perseverance, pushing for sustainable lifestyle changes over quick fixes. So imagine the shockwaves when she openly admitted to using weight loss medications. Yes, the very ones she once dubbed as an easy way out. In her ABC special Shame, Blame, and the Weight Loss Revolution, Oprah revealed that she turned to medications like Ozempic to help her shed pounds. This candid confession caught everyone off guard. Critics and fans couldn't believe that the woman who had long promoted natural weight management was now endorsing pharmaceutical aids. The backlash was swift. Detractors accused her of abandoning her principles and potentially misleading her massive audience by promoting what they saw as a shortcut rather than the hard-earned results of diet and exercise. But Oprah didn't back down. She explained that these medications helped her stop obsessing about food, giving her a sense of freedom she hadn't experienced before. She emphasized that weight issues are complex and deeply personal and sometimes require medical intervention. This unexpected twist not only sparked heated debates about the ethics of celebrity endorsements, but also opened up conversations about the stigma surrounding weight loss treatments. Amid the whirlwind that was 2020, Oprah Winfrey found herself unexpectedly entangled in a wild internet conspiracy that very few saw coming. As the world grappled with unprecedented events, social media lit up with outrageous and completely unfounded rumors that her Florida home had been raided by police and that she was arrested for involvement in a trafficking ring. The claims were as shocking as they were baseless, yet they spread like wildfire across various platforms. Imagine waking up to find your name trending worldwide for something that you had absolutely no part in. Oprah swiftly took to Twitter, now X, to shut down the chatter, quote, "Just got a phone call that my name is trending and being trolled for some awful fake thing. It's not true." Now, let's take a moment to peel back the layers on Oprah's personal life, a subject that's both fascinating and surprisingly under the radar. Did you know that Oprah has been in a committed relationship with Stedman Graham since way back in 1986? That's nearly 4 decades of partnership without a marriage license. They even got engaged in 1992, but here's the kicker: they chose not to walk down the aisle. This unconventional decision has set tongues wagging for years. People have speculated endlessly, some suggesting commitment issues, others whispering about hidden troubles, but Oprah has been refreshingly open about their choice. She believes that not being married has actually strengthened their bond. In her own words, she realized she didn't want the quote sacrifices, the compromises, the day in, day out commitment required to make a marriage work. Instead, she and Stedman have crafted their own version of happily ever after, one that doesn't fit the traditional mold but works perfectly for them. Then there's her decision to not have children, another personal choice that's put her under the microscope. In a society that often pressures women into motherhood, Oprah took a different route. She has candidly shared that she doesn't regret not having kids. Why? Because she understands the immense responsibility that comes with raising a child. During her years on The Oprah Winfrey Show, she met countless guests whose lives were impacted by neglectful or unprepared parents. Those experiences reinforced her belief that motherhood just wasn't her calling. Oprah Winfrey is universally admired for her incredible philanthropy, having donated millions through her foundations and launching the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa, but here's a bombshell you might not have heard about. Back in 2007, this very school was rocked by a shocking scandal. A staff member was accused of serious misconduct involving the students, a nightmare scenario for any institution, let alone one so close to Oprah's heart. Imagine the shockwaves this sent through the tight-knit community. Oprah, who had invested not just money but her soul into creating a safe haven for these girls, was devastated. But instead of hiding behind PR statements or letting others handle handle the fallout, she took charge in a way that only Oprah can. She flew straight to South Africa, stood before the parents, and addressed the issue head-on. The accused staff member was promptly fired, and Oprah implemented stringent new measures to protect her students' well-being. She overhauled the school's policies, brought in experts to ensure such an incident could never happen again, and provided support to the affected students.
So during the big fires in Maui, residents fleeing the carnage of the flames were held up at the gates of Oprah's very large, fenced-in property. She wasn't staying at her vacation home at the time, and she did open them up upon learning of the tragedy, but residents felt a certain way knowing they had to contact authorities to get permission to cross the completely fenced private property. They just wanted to get out. They wanted to get beyond, not to invade her home or anything. So afterwards, Oprah teamed up with fellow Hollywood heavyweight Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to launch the People's Fund of Maui for residents with an initial donation of $10 million, which sounds like a lot until you remember she's a billionaire, a multi-billionaire. She said in a statement on the Today Show last August, "We've been meeting with community leaders for the past couple of weeks, just trying to figure out what we can do." And The Rock added, "In this time of need, you want to take care of the greatest need of the people, and that's giving them money. It's going to take a long time to rebuild. It'll probably get a little worse before it gets better, but we're here, doing what we can do." Well, here's the thing. Where did that money go? Where did the money come from? What did they do? A meme account on Twitter went viral in August of this year when they realized Oprah donated $150 million to a political campaign this year. So they said, and I quote, "Almost a year ago, Oprah and The Rock faced backlash after asking struggling peasants to donate to the Maui Fund they launched to help wildfire victims. They committed to donating $10 million themselves, and then a year later, a lot of victims of the fire remain unaccounted for, hundreds if not thousands of people are still homeless, and the island has yet to be rebuilt." So that post racked up a couple million views. 2.3 if you're wondering, in under 24 hours. And a lot of the replies had conspiracy theories about Oprah's motive. So for instance, one person speculated that her real goal is to buy up Hawaii, which, ooh. Another critic declared, "Oprah is a fake and a fraud," and The Rock was not heat-free. He caught some heat as well for being a self-described free thinker and a patriot. He caught some heat online after somebody who describes himself as a free thinker and patriot said he's a minion to the elite and a tool. I can't say how I feel about Oprah on here. So somebody else added, "What happened to all that money people donated?" So the big controversy is how wealthy Americans have taken over large portions of Hawaiian real estate, even while native Hawaiians struggle to just receive land promised to be returned to them from the US government. People are on a 40-year-old waiting list for a home that the US government stole from them over a century ago. Back in 2007, Oprah had Jenny McCarthy on her show to promote some really stupid book she wrote. Literally, it's the stupidest thing ever, about her son's autism. So look folks, full disclosure, I went to school for journalism, not for medical stuff, but I do have Google. And according to CDC statistics, which I trust, more than 3.5 million Americans have an autism spectrum disorder, for which scientists have yet to identify a definite cause. I personally have ADHD. It's genetics, folks. But Jenny McCarthy, who also didn't go to med school, she announced very matter-of-factly that her son's autism was caused by vaccinations, specifically the MMR vaccine. So this vaccine had nearly eradicated measles, mumps, and rubella in the US. And if you didn't already know that, well, it's because we didn't really need to worry about those diseases for decades. Mumps and rubella aren't serious. Well, as serious, but measles didn't mess around in its heyday. It took the lives of thousands of people a year. Now, the total number of cases had dropped to less than 200 annually until Jenny McCarthy and Oprah decided to just discredit science and go nuts. So the result? A spike in measles cases. Let's go back 10 years. 2014, there was a record 23 outbreaks and almost 700 cases. Now, is this a coincidence? Or, is this spreading misinformation, people listening, and following the wrong idea? You can take the facts for yourself and decide for yourself. I'm just gonna stay calm and move on. So thanks to Oprah's weakness for theories that veer towards the decidedly stupid, her legacy is kinda tarnished. So sure, we have to give credit. On one hand, she did endorse a lot of credible things in her heyday. She gave away a lot of cars, a lot of money. She endorsed Barack Obama. She endorsed John Steinbeck's East of Eden. It became a bestseller 51 years after it was published because Oprah said she loved it. But on the other hand, and I'm sorry folks, I'm gonna get a little angry here, we have Oprah to blame for Dr. Oz. the Turkish-American heart surgeon. He first appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show in 2004 and quickly became, along with Dr. Phil and Rachel Ray, part of Oprah's team of experts. These were people that regularly appeared on her show. They had their segments. I remember when Dr. Oz first appeared, my mom loved him. So Dr. Oz is like a pick and choose kind of person. He's like, you know what, I don't find that fact convenient. We're gonna do away with it. He's got an egregious lack of integrity because he promotes quack treatments and cures in the interest of personal financial gain. He's been compared to being more of a Kardashian than an actual doctor because, according to his critics, and that includes a lot of colleagues, like professional doctor people, they argue that his endorsement under a medical banner of certain remedies, we're talking pseudoscientific to kooky to who knows what, yeah, it's immoral. It's been argued that the Dr. Oz show wasn't a medical show. It was just an entertainment show with a medical font, and it was a show that just really was a scam. And now, in recent news, if we're talking about things Dr. Oz has done, he's been promoted to lead the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Now, I can't use the language I want to use right now when I have a personal opinion on that, but let's just say if you look at the facts, we're in for a rough couple of years. So once upon a time, Oprah found herself in a brand new situation on her show. Now, it wasn't like a new segment or a new expert. She had to make a retraction. She had to apologize. What did she have to apologize for? Was it saying the wrong word? Was it for being too invasive? No. She decided to promote this book. It was a book by author James Frey. It was called A Million Little Pieces, and it was this memoir. Well, let's put a little asterisk there, folks. This wasn't a memoir, this was a fabricated story that she promoted as real, and then when people like, I don't know, the New York Times came calling, everybody realized, oh no. So she said, and I quote, "I left the impression that the truth does not matter. To everyone who has challenged me about this book, you are absolutely right." Which, hey, you know, good for Oprah, right? She's admitting to being wrong, and she's counseled her guests through that on her show many times. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy to do in front of millions of people on live TV. But she didn't have a choice, because the initial investigations into this book showed that Frey lied about everything. So this is like a fantastical story about like everything going wrong for one person and this girl. He lied about all of it. He lied about the time he spent in jail, about run-ins with the law. There were people at centers that he went to that were like, absolutely not, this is not what happened. And hey, if you were one of the people that were like, hey Oprah, apologize, retract, you got it. But how Oprah went about it, if I had a red flag, I'd be waving it right now. So Oprah tore into Frey over a lot of notes and moments in the memoir. Everything that had either been proven false or was kind of dubious. And the way she did it almost had me feeling sorry for Frey. Let me explain. So Oprah spit out zinger after zinger after zinger. She was like, it's a lie. You presented as a false person. And it's kind of hard to look at this and not think that Frey was just being put on display not to set the record straight. It was for a public punishing. It was more of a, how dare you embarrass Oprah instead of a, how dare you lie to people and get away with it. More than once, Oprah emphasized that the whole thing embarrassed her. It was all about her, remember that. And her revenge was to shame him in front of a live studio audience so the blame could get shifted to him. Now at the time, everybody was like, oh my gosh, who knew Oprah was an eye for an eye kind of lady? Now we know this, but at the time it was a bit of a shocker. She went so far as to bring the publisher of the book on the show and ask, like, why was it mislabeled? Why was it not, called based on a true story like movies are? Now, apparently, allegedly, the publishers took what had been a novel and they made it a memoir instead. And now you know what happened there. Oprah Winfrey is a walking red flag, and it's something that we need to talk about. So once upon a time, Oprah found herself in a position she had never been in before that. She had to apologize for her audience. She said, oh, I regret that phone call. This was a live taping. And what was she referring to? Her phone into Larry King, when she expressed her absolute love for James Frey, an author who wrote this book. It was this mega selling memoir, A Million Little Pieces, and it turns out it was all fake. Yeah, nobody liked this. She said, I left the impression that the truth does not matter. To everyone who has challenged me about this book, you are absolutely right. And hey, in theory, good for Oprah, right? Admitting to being wrong. She's counseled many people on her show many times. It's not an easy thing to do. It's part of Oprah's brand. But And when I talk about this book being fake, being a scandal, there was reports in the New York Times, like this was bad. People were coming for Oprah, so she had to do this live apology. So besides the initial investigation showing that the author had lied about the time he had spent in jail, all these various run-ins with the law, there was people at the rehab center that he attended that were like, yeah, no, the portrait of his life here, fake, fake, fake. So people were saying, Oprah, apologize. Why did you have this fraud on your show? What's going on? And hey, everybody who wanted the apology, they got it. But in a way that had people waving red flags about her behavior. So as Oprah really went in on Fry over various moments in his memoir that had either been proven false or remained dubious, you almost couldn't help feeling a little bit sorry for the man. Now let me explain before you get your pitchforks in the comment section. I get it, instant gratification. Let me get to it. So as the audience clapped when Oprah would spit out zinger after zinger saying, "It's a lie, I think you presented as a false person," it was hard to avoid thinking that this author was being put on display not to set the record straight, but for a public punishing. Dare I say almost a witch trial of sorts. Now more than once Oprah emphasized that this experience was embarrassing for her, and her revenge was shaming him in front of a live studio audience. And at the time, it was shocking, because everybody was like, who knew that Oprah was an eye for an eye kind of lady? Throughout all of that time, Oprah had blamed the author's publisher for mislabeling the book, insisting that it should have been called a novel based on a true story instead of a memoir. Now, rumors have swirled around alleging that Doubleday, the publisher, or the direct woman in charge of publishing, Nan Talese herself, actually took what had been a novel and rechristened it a memoir, hoping for the kinds of sales only afforded to true stories. So Oprah brought the publisher on, Talese, to prod her about it. She asked whether there weren't red flags in a million little pieces that should have led Doubleday to investigate whether the story was true. Like at the very bare minimum, the publishing company at the very least should have required the author to include an editor's note, making clear that he had altered events and changed many characteristics of everything in his memoir. But here's a question. So if Oprah could see at that point in time that outrageous events were red flags that the publisher should have made a note of, why didn't she pause there too before choosing this book for her book club and calling it the greatest thing, the most tragic thing, like praising it, promoting it? Oprah did her very best to play wounded, claiming that she felt duped and conned by James Frey. She said, "The book is so fantastical." Well, then why did Oprah take it at face value and sell it to all of her followers at the beginning? So there's two possibilities here, folks. She's either somebody who was conned very easily, or she just wanted the ratings from the controversy. After all publicity is good publicity. Oh, I almost forgot, by the way. So that confrontation I've been talking about in detail, it's been completely scrubbed from the internet. I don't know, seems a little sus. So back in 2007, Oprah had Jenny McCarthy on her show to promote some book she wrote. It was like some very stupid book about her son's autism. And now look, I never went to med school, but I do have Google, and according to CDC statistics, more than 3.5 million Americans have an autism spectrum disorder, for which scientists have yet to identify a cause, other than just knowing like genetics and a lot of other things. But Jenny McCarthy, who also didn't go to med school as far as I'm aware, announced very matter-of-factly that her son's autism was caused by MMR. Now, this was something that had eradicated all sorts of things, mumps, rubella, and worse, in the United States. And if you didn't already know that, it's probably because society hadn't had to worry about those diseases for decades. Mumps and rubella aren't as serious, but measles did not mess around in its glory days. It took the lives of thousands of people a year, and the total number of cases had dropped to less than 200 annually, until Jenny McCarthy and Oprah talked about all this on their show. And what happened? A spike in measles cases. 2014, which is only 10 years ago, had a record 644 cases. Now, was that merely a coincidence? I don't know, folks. You take the information available and decide for yourself. I've said my piece. So thanks to Oprah's weakness for theories that veered towards the decidedly questionable, her legacy has been called into question, and by more people than just me. So sure, on one hand she did endorse a lot of credible things in her heyday. She endorsed Barack Obama. She endorsed John Steinbeck's East of Eden, which became a bestseller after being featured on her show, which was 51 years after it was published. Because if I haven't established already how much power this woman had in her heyday before now, you should understand that. But then we get to the other pillar. We have Oprah to blame for Dr. Oz, the Turkish-American heart surgeon who first appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show in 2004 and quickly became, along with Dr. Phil and Rachel Ray, part of Oprah's team of experts who regularly appeared on her show and got their own spin-offs. So Dr. Oz dispenses with the facts he doesn't find convenient. He manifests an egregious lack of integrity by promoting quack treatments and cures in the interest of personal financial gain. He's more like a Kardashian than a surgeon, and that's according to a lot of his critics who are in doctoral fields. And they argue that his endorsements under a medical banner of certain remedies, ranging from the pseudoscientific to the downright kooky, are immoral. They've argued that the Dr. Oz show was not a medical show. They were going so far as saying that you'd be better off taking medical advice from Dr. Pepper. And now, recently, the man has been promoted to lead Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Now, I can't use the same language with y'all that I used when I called my dad the other night when this news dropped, but let's just say it wasn't internet friendly. Alright, you get a car, and you get criticized for a lavish lifestyle. Controversial radio host Howard Stern accused Oprah Winfrey of showing off her wealth on social media. Now, he said, and I quote, "Oprah's not embarrassed by her wealth at all." This was a recent radio show episode. He mentioned that she loves showing it off on social media. He said it's effing mind-blowing when you follow her on Instagram. You see her estates, plural, her gardens, the people who service her, and then his co-host Robin interjected service her? She's not a car. And then Howard Stern was like, well, she kind of is. She's got servants and she's got people and cooking for her, and it's effing wild. Now, according to Forbes, Oprah has a net worth of $2.5 billion, which is a combination of her talk show success, all of her TV shows, her brand ambassadorships, everything she's ever produced. The Oprah Winfrey Network is a network. Now, Howard Stern went on to say that Oprah knows how to be rich, likes to show it off, which was something he's just not comfortable with. He doesn't think that people should really show off their wealth. Now, his co-host disagreed, was like, Oprah's just giving fans a peek inside of her life using social media. He said she's not showing off. But then Howard Stern was like, well, you gotta be a little self-aware and know that there are people struggling out there. You gotta think about the kind of people who don't have anything to eat. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be a little bit aware of this. So when Oprah interviewed Cindy Crawford and elite model management founder John Casablancas back in 1986, she had Cindy Crawford stand up so the audience could see her body. Now, reflecting on the encounter some 30 years later, Cindy Crawford mentioned, I was something to be seen and not heard. And when you look at it through today's eyes, Oprah's like, stand up and show me your body. Show us you're worthy of being here. Now, in the moment, Cindy Crawford didn't recognize it, but watching it back, she was horrified. She was like, oh my gosh, that was not okay, especially from Oprah.